Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, we'd like to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Give our honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers in our ways and byways, preaching and teaching this word in sincerity and in truth. This is your brother Shapal from James Jamaica Camp with a quick lesson today. And this is basically reminding our people who the enemy is, because it seems that as time goes by, Jake forgot. When we say Jake, we're referring to Jacob, sons of Jacob, which are the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native American Indians, who are the Hebrew Israelites, who the scripture speak of. Right? The true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. Right? Right? And we were sent over this side of the world basically to ultimately to fulfill prophecies. Right? But because we have sinned against the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right, we're in the hands of our enemy, which today is the so-called white man, right? And these are just some of the atrocities that he had committed against our people, which now we're in at the time when the Lord had make him a rival. So all of these men are going to be punished for all the things that they have done unto us. But just for put some context to this lesson that I'm bringing out, this shows in the time of Michael Manley, when Michael Manley was going with a communist type of country, speaking about Jamaica, which is self-sufficient, self-dependence, things that one needs to grow, so them started to link with basically Cuba, right, the then prime minister, which is a threat to which is a threat to America, which is the superpower, still is, it was a superpower back then, right? And what they did, they come in and they burned down a elderly home, a home that hosts elderly people. It says, as you can see the title, 145 old women unalived in 1980, right? Eventide fire. So the CIA orchestrated that, unaliving 145 old ageable women, right? And there was no remorse, man, because they did that to discredit the then Prime Minister, all right, Michael Manley. Now, all of these things, the devil has not changed. And we say devil mean Esau Edom, he's a so-called white man, right? He's not changed, man. The scripture says he's the border of wickedness. Now, we're going to play this video, but I'm going to bring out a scripture because this video is basically 3 minutes long, right? So, what I'm going to do for the remaining of this video, I'm just going to bring out one precept basically. I don't want to make this very lengthy, So, I'm going to bring out the precept from the get-go, and then I'm going to play the video. I'll let you see what happened, alright? Alright, this is Ecclesiasticus 12. We start at verse 10. Alright, okay. It says, or start at verse 8. It says, a friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hid in adversity. And we see that all over the world, man. When adversity reach upon you, you see who is the enemy. You see who decide to help a helping hand, it's like and who try to push you down. So in prosperity, in the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, but in the adversity, even a friend will depart. Right, so this is the point here, is that never trust thine enemy, like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wipest a looking glass, right? And thou shalt know that his rust are not being altogether wiped away, because this is the same man going through the earth, the hammer of the earth, Esau, Edom, that's the so-called white man, raping, robbing, you know what I mean, and destroying the whole earth. You understand? He has not changed. You know, he has not, you know, he's been at it the same thing for years and years now, man. You know, he has not changed. This is our enemy, not Jake. Well, put it this way. We look at each other as enemy, man, because we're in a land where, as the scripture mentioned, ye have your father the devil, you know, when Yahushua was speaking to the wicked scribes and Pharisees, right? And the lust of your father you will do, right? Esau, Edom, he's the one that runs this society, man. And he's the one that basically have our people under control, you know. Ultimately the curses, man. So we looked at our people as enemy because him set up one against another. Just like the whole back in our slavery, you have the house nigger and the field nigger. And they're set one against each other to hate each other, right? So the Lord ultimately commit that division between our people, but using Esau, Edom, you know. See? So that's the reason why our people look at each other as we are the enemy of each other, right? Which is Esau, Edom is the ultimate enemy, man, right? It says, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at least remember thy words and be pricked therein. Right? And the scripture goes on to speak about pity not a charmer, because if you go ahead and disobey these commandments or these wisdom, right, these wise words, then guess what? Nobody ever pity you, man, when shit reach you. You know, but just to say that, look, Esau hasn't changed. Esau has never changed, man. But let's listen to what happened back in 1980.
To document in some detail was the whole scope of CIA activities, similar to what the CIA did in Chile, and which was documented by the Senate Select Committee, was the whole covert action program in Jamaica in between 1976 and 1980. And we did a great deal of research into that. There was a fire, for example, that took place in Jamaica of an old people's home. I think 150 old and infirmed women, many of them blind, were living in this home. And as it turned out, the place burned down in the space of about 8 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes. It was discovered that the phone wires had been cut and that the exits had all been blocked. Even those who could see their way out could not get out. And that the means by which the fire was set was the use of a petroleum jelly, which was unavailable in Jamaica. This was one indication, among others, that there was outside help. Why would the CIA, you might ask, why would the CIA want to murder 150 old women? It was because it was an effort, part of a very large-scale effort to discredit the government in Jamaica, which was at the time headed by Michael Manley, the Prime Minister. There were images produced of Michael Manley in the media, in the Daily Gleaner, which was the newspaper which the United States, through the CIA, helped to support.
Right, and we know, you see, this is the thing when the CIA, our hand, still in Jamaica, because Edward Seaga is a CIA agent, and we know that, and he was Prime Minister after, I believe it was after Michael Manley, somewhere about there, right? And as a year, the person said in the interview, I don't remember his name, but he said the Gleaner is one of the main things that was funded and hated by the CIA, man. And as the elder did mention at the camp, I believe it was Tuesday camp, right? He said that, look, Esau has a hand in every single thing on the earth, man. The only thing he has no control over, right, is the truth and him even putting agents in these camps, right? We're trying to deter the truth and to break apart what Yahushua, the seed that Yahushua has sown. But the Lord said what? He's going to leave a small remnant, man. You know? He's trying to discredit the truth. It's the same thing. It's the same playbook. He has not changed one bit, man. But let's go on further and make you hear the wickedness of the so-called white man.
And there is a good deal of evidence of that. There were images of Michael Manley showing a death mask. I mean, it was his face which had been somehow made to look like a death mask, although it was pretending to be a photograph of him.
Right, which is propaganda, and that's one of the things what them use. You know, when them turn on them propaganda machine, trust me, man, if you don't have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man, it's like you're lost. You are lost, man. Right? When these men roll out them propaganda machine, man, you don't know what is real or what is fake. Let's continue.
And there were many ways to try and discredit him, and that's of course what the CIA proceeded to do in Chile, and that's what they also did in Jamaica.
They also furnished a lot of munitions and assistance to the terrorist squads that were going around killing people in the cities and also in the countryside in Jamaica as well.
That's correct.
Well, John, you had a trip down to Jamaica, and you saw a lot of these things about Jamaica with your own eyes, right?
Yes, indeed. A very moving, a very interesting trip to me to see a target country at a time in the height of a CIA operation when I was completely outside. So there's no way that I could see the problem that journalists have always had when the U.S. government was targeting on a country in a situation, trying to destabilize it, overthrow, or manipulate the elections or whatever, of trying to figure out what's going on when you don't have access to all of the flow of cables and the discussion.
Right.
At a time in the height of a CIA operation.
Right. So that's what I want to bring up, man, because the thing what we need to realize is that these men have no advance in wickedness through the power of Yahweh Shemel Shaf Close. Right? Where we know these men have AI technology that can deceive the masses, because as I hear, one thing them used back then was a newspaper to spread propaganda. Now these men can have you saying some shit, you know what I mean, doing something. We know how deep fake, we know how deep AI is, you know, as I mentioned, the deep fake, you know what I mean, technology is advanced now, wherein this man can easily justify himself for do a lot of madness, man, you know. So the enemy has not changed, man. It's only scripture says do he go crouching, because he go crouch down, because him not gonna come at you straight ahead, because you're gonna see him coming. You know, this is the deceiver, man. You know, the devil himself. Alright. Alright. And that's why scripture says in verse 12 says, set him not by thee, least when he hath overthrow thee, he stand up in thy place. Right? That's why in Israel the Lord always speak of once we conquer a nation, man, we're supposed to set them apart from us, man. We're not supposed to have no dealings with them. We're supposed to either conquer them, you know, take them for a spoil, or basically utterly destroy them. You know? You know what I'm saying? But we're not supposed to coincide or coexist together, you know, in the same land, or doing, you know what I mean, sharing cultures and all that. Nah, man. You know, he said, let him sit at thy, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and lest thou, least at that, and thou at least remember thy words and be quick therein, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh a wild beast. So one that goeth with sinners and defileth with him in his sins, right, who will pity? For a while he will abode with thee, right, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. Right? He said, an enemy speaketh swiftly with his lips, but in his heart he imagine how to throw thee into a pit. Right? He will weep with his eyes, but if he found opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood, man. And this man is a man of blood. He said, if adversary come upon thee, thou wilt find him there first. And though he pretended to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Right? He will speak, he will shake his head, slack, yeah, clap his hand, and whisper much, and change his countenance, because this is how Esau Edom is, man. Right? The seed of the devil, man. This man do not have any pity upon our people, man, or any sort of trust or likes. You know? But let's read a couple verses of verse 13. It says, he that toucheth pitch shall be defiled therein, and he that hath fellowship with a proud man, it shall be like unto it. And that's the reason why our Prime Minister out here and all our leaders who is in bed with Esau Edom, right, take on the same belief, the same characteristics, man, oppressing them own people and being proud of our Lord's people. Verse 2, burden not thyself above thy power while thou livest, have no fellowship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself, for how a great kettle with the hurted pot together, for if one be smitten against another, it shall be broken. Right? So the our people, man, our leaders of our people that is in cahoots, thinking that them dep on the level where Esau dep on, so they are colleagues. Nah, man. You're being used because him find useful. Right? You are not the same, man. You know? The rich man hath done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor man is wronged, and he must entreat. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee, but if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. Right? If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry. Right? This is Esau Edom, man. Right? The wicked of the earth. That want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash. And double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to your brothers in the highways and the byways. Preaching, teaching His word in sincerity and in truth. Shalom. One final precept before we close off, because I almost forgot this precept. Right? It says, alright, so this is Ecclesiastes 3 and verse 15. Right? Right. It says, that which hath been is now, and that which is to be is already been. And Yahweh require that which is past. Right? So the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai had required that which is past, man. So the judgment for all of what Esau Edom did on the earth, basically, man, them still are going to face punishment for this. They're still going to get them just punishment, man. Regardless if our people want to be hands in hands and thinking that, yes, everything is okay. No, man. Hell no. Alright? There's an ultimate judge, which is Yahushai, which is Yahweh, Basham Yahushai. Right? So, if you want to be hand in hands with Esau Edom, and the Lord not forget what him do. Neither do we forget. We don't forget. Alright? Shalom.